a story be more interest for her about Haaland. Ni goals na all no. Na anopa yes our story no. Na me share the number of goals Haaland bona anwedene. Say Premier League wama 88 goals. Bundesliga 62 goals. Champions League 49 goals. Norway national team wama 48 goals. And it's a check how goals we nyina. Now we checking matches now or their bona or their how goals now. These are incredible and impressive numbers. Good numbers for Brand your friend and say Haaland. Ken, football na ye bono position biano. Ewa de can say call duty. Call duty essential responsibility sa role na wo se wutimi nya. Enti sa o peke Haaland or ye striker and as a center forward. So we a center forward who call duty ni say u team na wo si akan no u betima se majority of sa team ni goals no. Enti every center forward biano team na wo si akan no. Una goals na owosa wo shadow duopa because the core duty of a center forward is to score majority of sa teams ni goals no. And Ocha Haaland any numbers I will provide any goals I watch na ne core duty na dwuma pa ya fa ne se on be she goals en fama ne club no e ya de a oye ne yi. So the big question here say e dey nti na Haaland etimi hye sa goals ni bebrebe sa no. Enkin so what na se na o analyze Abrantie ni goals na. The reason why Abrantie friend say Haaland e hye sa goals ni nyina no e ye nneoma miensa. De edi kan e ye quality a player na nkasa possess. Enye by luck. Haaland enye magician. Enye fluke. Se unu sa quality ni bia untimi hye sa kind of goals no. And to before say we say player be sell very well no. E chese sa player no e was sa quality ultimately perform at the highest level. And so we take Haaland or more goals no e Bundesliga. Bundesliga arguably one of the best leagues in Europe. Waba Premier League or say amount numbers no. Premier League league ba kwa ne bo den enye easy say we a player who bet match goals bebre wo Premier League nim. UEFA Champions League or say amount goals no. UEFA Champions League and a top clubs in Europe ni nyina ahia. Enti so timisa provide goals no ho a. E chese Abrantie ni possess quality be a special and the national team. So Haaland nankasa wo ho no as a center forward or quality as a center forward or you good finisher or you clinical miti ye adwuma ne nan ni nyina ye adwuma. Enti the first thing ama Haaland etimi goals no e quality Abrantie nankasa possess no. Se offer last season go Premier League ni mpokra as a case study. Last season with Premier League, ye can say Haaland because of injuries and a Manchester City form no. When to me and my goals nimpo crop no. Last season na new man ko yeso anfama no. On my 31 games in the Premier League and was say 22 goals. Sa 22 goals na Haaland e share no. Emu miensa pe outside the box. And emu 19 inside the box. Last season in the Premier League or share just 3 goals outside the box and on 19 goals inside the box. And so we check Abrantie na based on how our first question go no ubet matter again say or you first in the box. You can first in the box football man you players o man ho den ne pa no o me dangerous position box nim. And Haaland possesses our quality to be a top center forward. So the reason why Haaland Emma sa goals ni nyina na say Haaland you be possess quality to be a center forward or very good. That's the first reason the manager goals no. The second thing the manager goals no team will see a kind and a coach is will play under them. So which teams are Haaland see a kind any coach is our form unsem ni nyina team approach DNA no attacking football. Coach is a Haaland form unsem typical example ye Pep Guardiola or your attacking oriented coach. And so we a clinical finisher. Now koto team attacking football can me no me him say the likelihood say yes our player clinical no be goals no osoro as compared to team more defensive oriented. And apart from Haaland ne quality se manage goals no team no say see a kind wom no team approach ni attack. So once or clinical no the most likely will say obet match goals no osoro. And the second reason team will see a kind no approach attacking football. And the third reason why Haaland goals ni bebre no players around him. Every top player a quality player around him. And you see Ronaldo say goals pa by check players for me around Ronaldo. Messi say goals pa check players for me around Ronaldo. Haaland no say goals say obi eboni di no. Check players on no musi akan. Goals are no say no Dortmund no Marco Reus e won nchen. or Julian Brandt on in chain, or Jude Bellingham on in chain. A players on Betima supply the amano, or Manchester City, a De Bruyne among a Gundu Amo supply. So Wasaka to Tima, ni playmate net supply boss ni be the mano. So King, and then, so what a numbers are the betuja. Now shall Brandt any numbers or dema a world football now. Men for name compare play bia. By a trend now Haaland Econo. Se say no be kone dia. Or the football be bury no. You bet mark say or you play about qua or be ending a career no with high numbers based on the number of goals with me provided at the money club and national team. No no miensa anama Haaland sa goals no. The kind a quality you possess as a center forward. Team are also a kind of more attacking football and a lot of players on betima supply balls no diamano. A good player and a good finisher. Haaland. So be really football career now can you most likely say or a lot of goals. Good news for Barcelona. And then Oko Barcelona training grounds sir. And me just say me wo say. Frankie de Jong etimia ye training, individual training for Barcelona team no. I say individual training no here no. Now we share a condition now Brandt any feel good the condition here very positive. Nemum Barcelona penny for say. Omo mpre omo ho e ma Brandt any besia kan. Na target ni say o mema Brandt no aye individual training ne kakra against Valencia the ombe rest no. By target ni say e wo UEFA Champions League against Newcastle no. E bedru ho na Brandt friend say Frankie de Jong etimi 100% fit obesi akan Ediama Barcelona boboku no, which I believe a very good news Ediama Barcelona fans no enawi. Ken Frankie de Jong a very important player Ediama Barcelona team no. Oyi Barcelona no a important player the moment na. Coach no coach Barcelona Hansi Flick no. Frankie de Jong say a very important player Ediama coach because of the system. Coach ne body ma Barcelona boboku no. So Abrante friend say Frankie de Jong or a very important player Ediama Barcelona boboku no. Last season, Frankie de Jong etimi recover fully. Obesi a kind of Barcelona. Every Barcelona fan be who Frankie de Jong modern but anyhow I know you very important. Edema Hansi Flick last season Barcelona air choke success domestically. Now we players back come here influential. Edema Hansi Flick now ntimi mbo ni Frankie de Jong emfem film. And to the moment abeti say a prasa ba branch na fan bi no ebe ha dwen kakra. So now you say the condition what shall say you training no e good for Barcelona. So what take Hansi Flick mostly about 3 midfielders. Midfielders means na obo Barca as a number 10, a shadow midfielder. Will be operating right behind the main striker. Now a Samba, a central midfielder will be divided pitch into two. Now dominating Finfi mostly Oyusu Pedri. Now Frankie de Jong no Hansi Flick emani operating as a deep lying playmaker. Original defensive line in him. And the Jumana Hansi Flick Ediama Frankie de Jong here say you control the tempo of the game from the deep position no Frankie de Jong. So say Barcelona build you attack from the back nipa from the deep area or control tempo de Barcelona Edema Hansi Flick system no Brandt friend say Frankie de Jong. I know you be in terms of ball carrying yen for ball in free deep yen franco yenim no on the transition Edema Barcelona. I know you be set me finding pocket of spaces. I know making sure so be creating chances with intelligent passes no. And it's a watching the ball any role now coach in their manner or you very important at the Papa friend say Hansi Flick because our role now all ball under Hansi Flick you know and you play a piano bit more operating at me I sell very well. So what to me ball sad deep lying playmaker role no very well under Hansi Flick. The other kind of say I was a press resistant midfielder because time they are now defensive line in him. And it's a way be midfielder now your press so say you lose ball now. Time be the pressure about to Hansi Flick in Barcelona so say who operates a deep lying role under Hansi Flick. And what's our press resistant. Then again, and what's our tactical awareness also. Game ne cost no and you feel coach better say you say. During the process of the game, ultimately make effective decision. Brandt friend say Frankie de Jong at the end the might be coach. I know you good pass of the ball. So you're very important. And the man Hansi Flick in Barcelona. And the coach no anchor say na no pay no. Or seen a near Jessa Brandt na Samba back because ye key players on the system no can be. And Barcelona medical team no smart. Because almost on rest boy no against Valencia. Among pro who be but playing against Newcastle and UEFA Champions League, you know. Ombe here Brandt friend say Frankie de Jong, which is very important for Barcelona. Ken. O checking Newcastle for midfielders Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali, and Joe Linton. These are aggressive midfielders use aggressive pressing. And very combative. Barcelona any midfielders Beka say Pedri Mone Frankie de Jong combative. to say Newcastle for no enti e was say technical midfielders or football IQ no was and Frankie de Jong a typical example. So a good news for Barcelona I say Frankie de Jong after so nya injury our the national team no wetimi ababa be individual training aba say hope say against Newcastle no obetima ababa si akan player of the month Italian Serie A akọ Ediama Juventus Accra your friend say Yildiz Ken Yildiz no me hwe ne ball na me hwe ne nima o kan Paulo Dybala so what check Yildiz na o hwe ball na o ball with Juventus a ne ball no ene nanim ni bibi e kwakọ e say Paulo Dybala Yildiz operate mostly as a left winger and also available as a number 10 player. So what check team friend say Juventus e go Turo about 3 back. Now o use Yildiz no and a Conceição as the double number 10 team friend say Juventus. Now Kwane friend say Yildiz ne ball now all ball say with Juventus no. Obeka say only 20 years. So offer Yildiz now analyzing na creativity or take na ability to score mostly or shooting from long reach or take sadie no. Intelligent movement ubenya from Yildiz so say you find this space any vision ubenya frabranti and ho and based on the age no any ball no obono akrani future ye bright dodo I will be expect to say player about Juventus obetima baba be the future obaba ye the king e wo touring e ya brand friend say Yildiz by problem ni say we player now wo quality now wo form say dey now wo club ain't mean compete at the highest level affected because so do the top level I was our club so a project and club ni betima project wa I was a club ni so compete at the highest level and so for Juventus na nkasa as a club ye be hu Dinozof ye be hu Platini ye be hu Papa Efense Zidane Roberto Baggio sa time Juventus was our players when no more dominating world football no na Juventus air compete at the highest level me na wo ka say Juventus air compete at the highest level and I know enti Yildiz bebo bo ni nyina obi abeka sa what talent by say Juventus enti and compete at the highest level Accra we ni talent ni nkofu hu ni sa enti say Yildiz ebe to do the top level I just say Juventus compete at the highest level the next 2 years ken say Juventus enti and by Europe and be compete at the highest level Yildiz no be free Juventus bo buku ni quality ne bo ndi onimbo by Juventus na was so project no show be to sell Lamine Yamal sanke ade say Barcelona struggle La Liga omo ntimi compete wo Europe and Lamine Yamal do some pempen so we emfa ho ne quality no enti say Yildiz na obi ebo ne din no obedu some pempen so na e was say Juventus compete with the big guys at the top level. We only other goal role is different but we want to see a special on say we need more of or no one any more e say other goal say other goal e wo deep and we more offensive.
Okay, let me say put you say one talent.
Oh, me no be a talent, but me call for other gule. Me call for other gule. But we also see a special talent. Ne born na to say Paulo Dybala. Or a special talent. Na me we no. Okay. Say Mikel Obi ene Garnacho de no. Or say Garnacho Enzo Maresca e coach obetima sama ne talent na sa baby. No cre. Recently you coaches be bra. Or mama players are no more form etimi apeja. Typical example ye Hansi Flick. Ana Enzo Maresca na nkasa no say we Chelsea players na wapeja bebre we improve bebre nemu se Garnacho betima say do top level na kese panic na Garnacho na nkasa so
eduwa ye bebe
so ono ankasa amboa ne ho a Enzo Maresca be ma ne playing time Chelsea players ne beboa no but ono ankasa entimi so amboa ne ho a e be den
na ye didi Garnacho nko massage me getting so no wan
o shawa afi no so boba safi no mato no nti no ne de ne slow start kakra na no not bench na ye de Tarek George abebobo ni bi ansa na later no ba game ni mo but unse ne adaptation no quite slow kakra na de wo ho na se so obi ehu ne se Enzo Maresca it may improve players but when it may improve Joao Felix when it may improve Disbury Hall ni nyina kire se de kwa me kan ye no coach bebwa ba wankasa wa mwa wo enye yie nti yes it is true the coach can improve but wankasa player no if you are not willing to improve so chirewade na wanye serious about it I'm sorry nti say Garnacho conversation say be ya ma na ye da ni nyina no I will say 80% depends on the player asam ne tintin ne titia na say nkomo no de ama na ahye bufuo ne say se na John Mikel Obi nansen say oye superstar se Mikel Obi no je Ballon d'Or nka oye bek or bekasa kesese ye ne te press conference no bi etie no me so the biso atwa mane Nicola Jackson na mi tie na me stress say kinei Mikel Obi Morino by name say Makalele wo ho the following year no kofa Asian Bekano the following year ena Michael Balake ba no ena Obi so buy entesa Obi otumi to omumu bia
ba wonyane
that's wonyane de kosi say he spent 11 years for Chelsea echire Matip Nimanja Matic kra na oba echire no hwe ni impact but now 11 years impact pa be pa na kwa wait if he had moved on it could be a better football legacy. It's not Chelsea, sir. Impact be na uja funyai. Oh, yes, Ramirez later on or buy. Ramirez can role. Anyhow impactful he was with Chelsea. Oh no, he was impactful than Ramirez. Oh no, who decided say Chelsea sick and in a then what's na here? I could so person bobo. Me ni kono the only problem I want to say. In Kawaso call Newcastle couple boni bibo. Oh, once now we're Johnny. Dear. First of all, Chelsea 74 charges and Abba. Na in some no ebe yanchire mu kakra. Na maminchire. Na issues be say ba they be a to Manchester City. I kept on telling you say social media no supporters to do an go. Inti what tie the enkofor one where you be confused. Now you mo show. Na Chelsea trophy or match be Jeffrey omunsem. Na Chelsea please calm down. Calm down. Manchester City charges 115. Similar to Chelsea the N1. But the way I told you about the Manchester City conversation is say social media and some if you have time to read the rules and regulations, you understand how the thing will pan out. Time I thought ball better Chelsea. 2.5 billion, you know. Almost say 100 million pounds at the tour, and almost unforeseen circumstances ebeba. Because afe no mabeto no munya kwan enko book ni mu deep. It is sikano they allocated 100 million say ento and they auto bowling war say sikano eventually it is be ebeba da achi no e ka bi ba sa sikano ne beyi mu e de atua sa aka because na afe e no be contract animo. So when Todd Bowley took over and now the auditors said they should go back. They did not go back to check last 5 years or 6 years. Omuko deep way from 2004. It's in the Jumaketwa because to go year by year now I check account challenge easy. It's throughout Chelsea for via their auditors. Eshishan krata muno. And on the catcher Todd Bowley must say nah. In the maybe a koswa. Yen auditors yen siasie. It's a Todd Bowley mo check here no say na ade we die. Ya yanko report ya ho a. Ya wo hosa na punishment about because Manchester City the difference can create woman say Manchester City the a display girl. In Central Kobi and a question mu dey buy. But Chelsea the na Chelsea for Todd Bowley na kasa no mo ho ko say ya question yen krata mu ye hu say Abramovich time no omudi bone into all difference e City the na Central Kobi na kofa baaye Chelsea the Chelsea for nankasa na do mo akọ difference bio Manchester City the no UEFA for KW e mo Manchester City for 20 million euros Chelsea the no UEFA for KW e mo Chelsea for 10 million euros last year okay 8.7 million pounds euros 10 million euros it's Chelsea the City the no make sure so any difference ka crew no money na UEFA for KW aka EPL for no it's Chelsea for the omo ko wie na EPL for se ate someone mo dem ho abade a ye behwehwem Iti from last year, on my investigations, na fe no mo charges ediaba. Manchester City charges 115, Barca 54 charges there. No mususu sa Manchester City for accounts details be omo this year. Ni nyina wa Chelsea charges ni mo, but just that the difference only say City charges no dorso. I change Chelsea for the one. In some no ye kan nyina ekosi a sika and on budget clubs or maximum a point deduction. So said now on their two knots now for one. Yes, same way. It does not affect your trophy. Blah 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 blah. Any day, we any day send for social media things no more can banter. And still make us say, who did this and some nature in Nana? They be our butu. It is a say no. Jacob say 74 charges. I was at Chelsea for a defend woman because one or the one bad the enable. I was so go back. Now for Chelsea for defend, I'm sure say Chelsea defense will probably be said sending crap near the bed with the motion I won't punish here. But Chelsea, Manchester City, Manchester City are ready to defend on more points. Chelsea for they admit to say there are wrongdoings. City defense by Kososo a woman no. It's about Tommy show so Obiatias here. 74 charges and Obi catch now say and Chelsea have a Champions League and idiot. Catch say it's the say no difference our City mo any Chelsea for the any kakra and a match no similarity woman and a difference kakra so sum ya monko mo it's ya be trying impedi for no decision City 115 Chelsea 74 charges ya to us way metie interviewer Vinicius Junior a year with Hugo Boss. Now, there's this thing or kind of interesting me pa me pese ye di ho nkomo kakra. Omo bisa ne say emre bi na wosa, wo hye goal a wosa, Samba dance no. Ama supporters ni bufu pa wo hye goal na okogina wona. O sa na ye toto niema ebro. E no say, look, sa de no onye na adwen so pese ojai. Na e ade a e no culture inti oshe gola ono so exhibits in the culture. Now it has been a topic at titru ewo Europe. Do one feel say or yes odi who supporters no or annoying supporters or show mebufu. But in the context of Vinicius Junior, he is only exhibiting his culture. Okay. Maybe say a bit of education and I think say yen wan kasa so no. We need to project and explain your parts of the story. Kakra eboye nyina. Sasa we a Brazil for asa as and nay obiani say a Brazil for asa. Even at the national team, omushe goal. Yen nyina nim say Samba Stars. Samba Stars. Nemom, in explaining the culture, I'm also giving you a different dimension. Ken, I say enya Brazil for us. Every Africa and let me explain this. And now make sure say Africa na emrebi buy slave trade no. No mo kwatam Africa for ye de fa Ghana elmina cast ne ko. You see in the history of slave trade no. Brazil for Africa for to do pa e ko Brazil no. Na eye 4 million Africans ne ko Brazil. Europe kra nya dodo sa into Africa dodo na go Brazil. Now you see me can yesi so say Angola for parts no mo fi Angola ye do mo call Brazil no sankofo ne from Quezon people. Quezon. Now follow this one me can dey say asem so. Quezon me nya omo a ken open movies pa. Watch movie I find the ghost must not be. The ghost must be crazy. Ma watch movies a movie no. Aha, it's uncle for the Quezon for one. Na omo ade omo ye ne say ye do omo call ye no. Omo so culture kakra those days omo culture ne say the ghost must be crazy in the movie ni. It's uncle for the Quezon omo fi Angola ho. No omo no their culture is that say omo ye adwuma ni nyina ewie ye do omo koy ye ahwede fuo ni sa ne mani nyina du anadwo a ade omo de so jiju omo ni ye say omo sa na asa no onfa ne Samba enye Samba. What I say? Na Samba no asechranka sanka say omo fa fi Mesemba chesa mabamo maso we fu di abamo na ya sa omodo to edema omonyam yomo som ne say Yakopon ne ema omu favor ennom wo mu. But what you say? Inti the dance itself is Samba. Inti yenyanum Angola for no the Quezan people for no this asa no the call. But essence and nay oko Brazil if you have time and you want to research further, but Afro Brazilians, African for then me catch also do na ko go bar here. Inti players do na tuntu for na ball Brazil ni na 95% omunchi every Brazil. If you remember the Vinicius Junior story, Vini, Ninchaka Sankasa, if the Tika people for an if Cameroon, into Vini Crani chief Cameroon. What kind of story maybe you crowd by my Inti a sano and a Brazil for no afa, says about than a Brazilian culture. I'm from the Samba. It is a Brazil for national team here from a Samba football, Samba dance. Master, the Samba things now Brazil for you know. The real and the original Samba Nanka Sanka fi Angola. The Samba dance. And no idea. But for the Brazilian, they are exhibiting their culture. Say, as I said, Europeans no accepting the culture of Brazil. Say, almost so say go. Say be, say Vinicius Junior say go. No original supporters name na osa. Enya boapaya say ohuru omu. Senya broni eshe go Mbappe mu she go. No mu kojina ho na omo sa. Omo fa ne say they are just celebrating. And then na Brazil for, and then Africa for. Ono so say goal. Now exhibiting the culture. Wo fa ne say odi watam. Why? This is a topic that needs proper attention. So Obia is trying to exhibit his culture because Senya or someone come on can copy Hugo Boss conversation. You can copy with table ways to say now people are discussing say and then as they say Europeans for the person Omaka Brazil culture she say Momo Yang Omasa Samba na. Why? Because I am not sure say yeah ball no Vini share go be bien see. Ne Vini akwa jina opponent enim esa. Won't be that. He does that only when he scores a goal. Only when all jubilating. That is the point. I want to say and add to the voice of Vini and the Brazilian guys. And say, Charlie, Africa for so we need to tell our story. Unfortunately, we don't do that. Some of the things maybe are not making. Maybe me check any many be break say. Charlie, we are saying as I know Africa, you were beautiful stories. But you can't do anything.
Mama say stories in your sad.
Yes, sad is say. And yes, sad. Ken, at the end of the day, we two more Portugal for. I'm gonna go Brazil for so. Brazil for fan say a sad story because Portugal for those days, you know, I'm gonna say be na. Gold near the Mukutebi into become slaves to free Africa. Ha, no more the call. My catcher say, Africa for the teacher Liverpool chrono. Because Liverpool ports most of them Africans for normally almost form free ho echo. It's yes, so ya were dear kakra. But the point is, say, Yana no nominee and chima, sorry, your grandparents, Mona do a muko. They went there and were establishing Yemeni baby and nay or but Yakata so Yanka. Boom. But sometimes it is sad. I tell you say it is I say yeah Samba. Woko Brazil says ya mo adaje. O de Bahia. Says Bahia Football Club. Up to now, Afibia almost celebrating African Week. Africa for one. Of course. Of course, but we have a good story. But now ne kana kwa style. We only say Samba na Brazil for Ajabo. But Africa hayao.
Well, Samba dance.
Samba boys. Wow. It's when you're there.
Na South Africa for social from say. Some
Bafana.
But some also taka Brazilians.
I
think Sundowns for all.
I'm a Melody Sundowns. From Jesse in the Calais in India. Marcus Rashford. Omono homode na onye careful. Na the Barcelona spell no anchor and do on a bad note. I am saying this because so now achieve a certain status. Our football more. The kind of status I achieve, and no, and at the Biadipe Kawasam idea Sisudia. Na yede ka wasam. Enti de biaya meka say you are always graded by the standards you set for yourself. Marcus Rashford born homody on Manchester United. Good performance, any consistency. And our ball could do a certain stage. At the point of performance, na kwa of which a third day normal in every footballer's career. There steps in a new coach at Manchester United. Coach Efenise Ruben Amorim. Or buy and only player and shall see any problems. Because of few say, the orchestra dear friend the top players for a winning team. Marcus Rashford in team in Fasadi and Manchester United. And then I'm fall out. I'm falling out. Coach, you know power to the extent say, or no falling out with team you have to find your way out of the club. And I'm Marcus Rashford the free Manchester United. Okobolo no Aston Villa. Aston Villa no on a very bright start. Obo around 5 matches. Now the goal contribution number 4. Was it 2 goals or 62? Then people started believing Marcus Rashford is back. Rashford now even know Manchester United. And the money more also. Afraid play and answer pija. Aye baba be muta Rashford in Ibio. Along the line, performance ne science take off from. Your boss season near your boss season new year, you know. Due to demands, Sika 70 against you know, on to be Aston Villa. Another club was a man opportunity because Manchester United there, and that same coach in and on to be in Yajuma. There steps in Barcelona. Can I add the so you play an album to a certain level? Now a big club, now free big club will say unya playing time and answer there are certain problems. A big club best answer about Befau and paying baby now. Ubenya the ABN work from no about Befau no they call, especially when it comes to loan deals. But Rashford was very fortunate and your team to say Barcelona. And a Barcelona aban no about Befano and then about the squad in him. It's a few players. And I had just such an opportunity. And so we career. Now the idea make us a Rashford make sure. Say all man is spell and on a bad note and say. There are reports in Spain. Say coach a friend say Hansi Flick I catch Brantian openly. Say Brantian more than a Barcelona no. And so no coach in any. And a Brantian happen the performance. Na neman timin kon kan fama no. And when back to asama me di kan say they be able grade you per the standards I'll set him out. Marcus Rashford fall down near Marco for man. But Barcelona and Penny for the technical handlers. I am sure they looked at performance be our dine a deep pain maybe a term. Manchester United. And Omoko fan and then buy. Omo de Oba. Obi to sell Ronnie Baji. And they dine the kind of performance I would dine a dear. And can your problem from my coach, you know, because he's young and he's inexperienced. But for a player like Marcus Rashford, or experience will give him or performance I want dine a dim maybe a term. Now you general so the waba. They expect that kind of standard now as set at the amount. So but dine a do Barcelona Bobo. And aside you know, he's a player who has a lot of advantages. Ken, I am saying a lot of advantages in the Barcelona setup because Obetimi debutizer Rafinha. Obetimi debutizer Lamine Yamal. Obetimi debutizer Robert Lewandowski. Etienne mo hono miensa no. Position bi asin to bebe bia Obetimi akwa kushim. Now what's your kind of Barcelona Bobo no. But say koba, so when you get the opportunity, na niema nkon kan to say the nipa expect na. Menya sure say coach ni be keep fit mo. Pre-season no especially. We saw Marcus Rashford and then the performance for Barcelona. And it was good. But the last season, league in the so the opportunity now or bar performance then to say Rashford now you no. And then on the Benham so my coach and Akasa no. Play and make it sure. So best Sanema, na Nema Concadia or Barcelona. Because when you get opportunity into big clubs on different occasions, now when to me and deliver, can now we are baba better for one no. It's one fancy Sanema. No making sure say stay very good. Now Barcelona be fan no what was the amomo. Ken moving on. William Saliba ne Arsenal. Honestly speaking, so what say Arsenal e ba extend the player and the contractor. We Arsenal supporters say we need because it makes a lot of sense. First of all, business wise. And so already the trend of a player purchases. Sika ya dey touch certain players. Any of quality a. Ken, say who lose player. Who betimi atona di sika all right. But who di agra sika na obeje no e bi mpo not to fill in with that same standard. Why to be emphasize sika na nkwan kutobi amfa mama me share position no. She play a bit to sell any euro. Manchester United torn for 62 million. She play to say Jordan Hato. Chelsea torn around 46 million. She will be to say Josko Vario. Manchester City Bobo Kono torn around 90 million. But among all these central defenders, Amabo Omodino, they have quality, yes, almost performance and you're bad. But none of them, and I made you the a better central defender than Chelsea Saliba. It is these players, Empo, Omubonia. Imagine say Tom Saliba, Obenya Sikanibi. But after Sawaji Sikane, can you buy players on the standard of Saliba equally the Ababa Bishimwana? I feel it is a no. It is a yes, yeah. Who extend the player the contract now keeping her? It makes a lot of sense. Aside, say Uji Sikana now the Coco to be affected the standard in Po. Every team ni more. I feel no Baba understanding the Premier League terrain. The philosophy of the Arsenal team. No one just stay with the partner on any Bible central defense. No one shall say all my good results. And I feel say it will be a very good reason, business wise. Say Arsenal be decided to make people player. Aside that, when it comes to team building and trophy winning, we have experienced players. Our 2 games and I say no more bomb and Yama conquer the amount. Saliba joined Arsenal around 2019. At that time he was young and inexperienced. Okobolo a couple of times. Ogeni experience of back was in 2022. And Obaya, since then, he's been a constant figure at the back for Arsenal. Until level now, our body could do status now achieve, a very prudent decision. Arsenal and penny for keeping, but the onus now lies on the player. Is he ready to stay with Arsenal? Because class to say Real Madrid don't have brand any quality. Our mobile then so mobile. But for Arsenal, they can. So when you want to be first, some make people player now. They have to do everything humanly possible. Some make people William Saliba. Now we see a kind of mom. Not a Kevin or Nicholas Jackson. Some player better not team who are fighting for position. I am a yepa. But over fighting for position again. A team natural. So we here. And no now better now. No fighting for position. Transfer window we are. There is one clear example. Chelsea decided to offer Femi Lopez the free Barcelona. You know one of the reasons into a player decided here, say on match Chelsea and our own free Barca. And found the time he limited. He granted an interview and okay, so no Barcelona will be free because the time he limited was Barca team name. Looking at performance last season, so Nyakwanya be now dine Coach Hansi Flick here. Or say and in the boy he called the player and only player at Tanase. And catch a player and say. What time they are limited, they are no credit, you can talk bar. But it is limited because of the competition. I will position now, but maybe coach ready me now, and until a time be a say, Muya Dea, number the one Bassa Brana Bebuame. These words he spoke to the player, and a player decided for better Uncle Baby. But Nicolas Jackson's situation there, Sana, and Tessa, it was clear Chelsea didn't need him. And didn't fast will be any so. So, granted, anybody decided for better not Chelsea. No fighting for position. See, Mikel Obi Tia Quadana say, your teenager home. And the new said the decision if I. Ken, so what Daniel, so when you. He who fights and one lives to fight another day, Bob Marley the car. It's young to come behind you, Hoko. And only or no, or what's not bench. And only or no, but individual difference.